This conference will now be recorded.
So we are now recording. Thank you for joining the Kingston Climate Smart Kingston Commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and my name is Julie Noble. I'm the chair. Before we begin our meeting, I'd like to go over a few meeting guidelines to help us navigate this system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press, if there's anyone here from the press, remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As organizer, I have the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Commission members, you can control your own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you're not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. At this point, if we wish to speak, I think we are all okay just unmuting. If we tend to talk over each other, then I will have everyone muted and we can raise our hands to speak. As I said, this meeting is recorded. The video and the written transcript are going to be made available to the public on our city's website after the completion of the meeting. If you have any issues with technical issues, you can send a note through the chat or send me an email. The chat function is at the top right corner. This is GoToMeeting platform, so the little speaking bubble is the chat. You can chat with me at any time. And on the call right now, so far, in my understanding with attendance, we have Brenna Robinson, Rennie Scott Childress just joined, John Wackman, Kevin McAvoy, Betta Broad, Melissa Iachetta, Karen Sullivan, Dan Smith, and Jessica Kuonen. And I see another person from the public. Lynn, is this, can you introduce yourself? Is there someone else on the call, Lynn Brusky? Okay. Well, I do see someone else on the call, but it seems like they're muted. So if anyone else joins, I will announce them as they come in. But welcome everyone and thank you for being here. And I now call the meeting to order and it is 5:09 p.m. I know that Casey is not able to make it. He's been having some health issues with his mother. So we send our thoughts his way. And thank you for everyone who was able to make it. So I want to make sure that hopefully everyone has the agenda in front of them. Does anyone have any modifications to the agenda?
No.
No. Okay, so moving on, review and approval of the February 2020 minutes. Does anyone have any changes, concerns, or issues with the February 2020 minutes? Okay, hearing nothing, I need a motion to accept the minutes. I'm going to unmute everyone. Oh, that didn't work. Now did it? You have to unmute yourselves.
I'm not a voting member.
Okay, so those voting members, I need a motion to accept the February minutes.
Motion to accept.
Okay, Melissa, can I get a second?
Second.
Betta? Any discussion? All in favor of accepting the February minutes with no amendments, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? Okay, so those are approved. Thank you, and thank you, Kevin. So, moving on to old business, 2020 Climate Action Plan and Greenhouse Gas Emissions Update and Refrigerants. I know we combine this into one, but it feels like it's a little bit much to be in one. I think I'm going to separate out into the future back to what it was, which is two different items. But I'll give an update on the Climate Action Plan. So, as you all know, we've been working with NREL and Cadmus. They finished up their final 100% roadmap to renewables. We're just finalizing that with them, their final report, and I will share that once I have a final go ahead to do so. And in wrapping that up, we've had discussions with them and with the Novo Foundation that we would like to engage Cadmus to do our Climate Action Plan 2.0. And so I know we've been talking about Sean and I doing it internally, but we have come to the conclusion that capacity-wise, we would love someone else to work on it. And especially if Novo Foundation is willing to pay for it, we are happy to have someone else work on it. So Sean and I and Martin Kirk developed a scope of work and for our climate 2.0, and it looks like the scope that would be completed and released by Earth Day of next year. That was the original plan back in March, pre-COVID. Right now we are still in negotiations with Cadmus. They came back to us with a price which is high, and we are negotiating the scope.
It's a high price.
A high price.
Mm-hmm.
Higher, maybe several times higher than what we wanted it to be. So we are negotiating down the scope, and I will keep you posted as to where that lands. We are thrilled that Novo is willing to support funding our climate action plan. That being said, I haven't had the discussion with them yet, but if Cadmus is not willing to budge on their scope, I would guess that we would look elsewhere with the same funding, and I don't know how that would work. So that's where we are right now. It seems like it's exciting to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the way you phrased it, is that Novo would fund our climate action plan.
They're going to fund our climate action plan.
All right.
Yep.
Did they approach you, or did they approach the city, or did the city approach them?
They funded the 100%, the map to 100% renewables that we've been working with NREL and Cadmus for the last year or so on. And their next logical step was to take that information and build it into a climate action plan. So it wasn't as though anyone approached someone else. It was sort of just a logical flow, and they offered to fund it.
All right.
Looks like Serena just joined us. Nice to know that you're here, Serena.
Hey,
Hello,
Serena.
everybody. Sorry I'm late. Hi.
Okay. Good to hear
Hi,
you.
Serena.
So that's where we are. I will keep you posted on that. It seems as though I'm hoping that it's going to be sort of they're all hands on deck, which, you know, they've been involved for the last year plus, so they really know the ins and outs of our climate action plan currently and our state here. So I'm looking forward to that advancing. And in the meantime, Sean has been working well, in the times that he's not working on the COVID response team, he's working pretty hardcore on the greenhouse gas emissions work and really updating our portfolio manager, which is where we're managing all of our building information and other data. So I expect that he'll be completed with that within a week or so. And then I'll get a report from him. So that's where we're with climate action plan. And does anyone have any questions or concerns or thoughts on that?
Who are some of the other people involved in the climate action plan? You were saying they, so that was a they attached to the Novo Foundation? So you're
right
working
now,
on it. Working on it. Cadmus has been working on it. Who else is involved?
So far, Sean and I have developed the scope. We presented the scope to Cadmus and Martin Kirk with the Novo Foundation. So right now it's just been Martin, Cadmus, Sean, and myself. Once we finalize what we're going to be doing with them, I will be forming a project advisory committee for the advancement of the whole climate action plan. Citizens for Local Power has also been involved with the whole NREL renewable energy study. and they will be involved with the community outreach and engagement portion of the climate action plan as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Thank
Anything
you.
else on that? You're welcome. Okay, over to Dan for refrigerants.
Okay. So Julie, you saw my emails. Jessica was on them. I'm not sure what the new plan is because we had been talking the last couple months about applying to the Climate Smart Communities grant. And I'm not sure where we go from there if we're not going to do that.
Right, so that's a question that I had, is that I thought we were talking about a different grant through DEC. The grant that I'm applying for is through the Pollution Prevention Institute. Isn't there a separate DEC grant?
I don't think so. I'd have to look back through my emails, but I thought the big one we were waiting for was the Climate Smart Communities one.
Right, so the Pollution Prevention Institute grant isn't a Climate Smart Communities grant.
Right, it's kind of confusing. They all seem to kind of interlock and redirect to each other's websites.
Okay.
But I'll look again. I've got everything up on my other computer, so I'll look again. But it seemed like if you go to the DEC website, they're like, we can help you with this through Climate Smart Communities grants. But I'll look again.
Okay. Do you want to set a meeting so we can all talk about it and follow up, or what would you like to do?
I'll just clarify. I'll keep that email chain going.
Okay.
You, Jessica, Maya, and myself, and I'll just keep that one going and try to figure out where we're going from here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, anything else on refrigerants? Okay, city sustainability projects. A couple updates. So not many of my projects are actually on hold. The LED project is on hold, but we reached substantial completion of the Cobra heads. So most of the lights that we see and interact with in our daily lives are completed. There's several hundred left of the decoratives that still need to be done, but that's on pause, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be off pause until at least the end of May, when my delivery won't. At this point, I'm not even accepting delivery of the rest of the decorative till the end of May, so that won't happen until then. However, the organics project is still full steam ahead. Carla Castillo with Hudson Valley Regional Council is nearly complete with her analysis, and we expect to have that completed by early summer, when that will be presented to the world. So I'm excited about that. In the last month or so, there's been a change in my own department. So I've worked for Parks and Recreation for my whole career. I still work for Parks and Recreation, but I am now physically sitting at DPW. And so the director of Parks and Recreation, Kevin Gilfeather, retired in early April. And now the Parks Maintenance Division of Parks and Recreation is now managed by DPW, and the Recreation Division is managed by Lindsay Timbrook over at Parks. And so in that transition, I am now managing capital projects for the Parks Department. And so overseeing and coordinating and managing projects that have existed under other folks, like the Deed Stadium project, and a few others continue under them, but any new capital projects, I'm managing those. So that's exciting for me.
Wow.
Particular.
Deed Stadium's a pretty big project, Julie.
Deed Stadium is a big project. Ruth Ann is actually, she's in the grants management office. She's managing that, but I'm working collaboratively with her on that. And as part of that, there are also 2 green infrastructure grants that are the city has received to manage an overhaul of the parking lot at Deed Stadium that will supplement the DRI money for Deed Stadium. And Sean Coster is managing those. So
Is the
right now
swimming pool included in all that?
Yep, so Andretta Pool is actually phase 1 of the Dietz Complex project. And so the Andretta Pool project was on pause, but is now reopened. And so actually starting sometime between the 24th and the 4th, we are going to begin, not we, but the contractor is beginning with asbestos removal. And then from there, they are going to work on fixing the pool and installing the infrastructure that would be needed for a future spray park. And then they're going to be, working on the rest of the facility at Andretta Pool. All of the design and everything for the pool is complete, and they're moving through that entire phase first. And so we're still proceeding as though we would open the pool in July. That was the original plan, to open by around July 1st. That was pre-COVID. I'm not sure what's going to happen at this time, but we are still advancing that project. We have a weekly call for the Dietz Stadium project, and so I'll know more about what's happening a little tomorrow, and we actually have a project advisory committee meeting on Friday to really make some big decisions about what's going to happen fully at Dietz. So I'll have more information next month on Dietz Stadium. Kingston Point.
One more question, if I might. I was walking through this last week, and I was wondering if part of this plan would be to enhance the Dietz Stadium entrance to Forsyth Nature Park, and that occurred to me as would be a very nice thing.
So as part of it, and again, there was a full analysis done of the whole facility in the beginning to really understand the scope of everything that needs to be done. And the project advisory committee will be narrowing down that scope to be able to fit it within the budget of what we have shortly. There were some preliminary designs that were put out that included all of the parking lot and particularly over by where the basketball court is now, modifying the parking there and formalizing the parking and making a new, some new amenities over in that section. I haven't seen anything yet that actually changes the specific gate entrance to Forsyth Park and the Nature Center. But again, none of those designs are final yet.
Thank you. That's good.
Yep. If you haven't been down to Kingston Point, there's some changes that are going on down there with multiple projects. The ADA compliance project will be moving ahead shortly. The Kingston Point Park Improvements Project, which includes the soccer field and the parking lots, we've begun demolition for that already. So you'll see that the playground is down, and there's an area that's been prepped to accept fill from the 587 interchange. So there's fill from 587 in there, that everything's all up in arms there. But some of that fill is going down to Kingston Point to be able to help us raise up that portion for amenities down there. And so I've been overseeing and managing that, and that's got some movement, so that's exciting. And also coming up shortly will be a public webinar and meeting for the Climate Adaptive Design Project, which is redesigning our beach so that it is adaptable and resilient for the future. And there are 3 alternative designs that are very exciting, and you'll have a chance to weigh in on that. So keep an eye out for me announcing that webinar so you can provide info on Kingston Point. That's pretty much the projects that are relevant to Climate Smart, unless you can think of something else that I've been working on that you want me to report on. Otherwise, we'll move on to Repair Cafe.
Hey, Melissa, hi.
Hi. Yeah, there's not much to report on the Kingston Repair Cafe. We did have to cancel our last cafe in March. We were going back and forth about whether to cancel it or not. We were in constant contact with our coaches. A lot of our coaches were okay with it, but then in the end, we just decided it was best to not do it. Since then, I've had 2 people call me about or contact me about sewing machine repair, because I know a lot of people right now are doing the masks at home, or they're just trying to do side projects and they want to repair stuff at their house. So I did reach out to our sewing machine repair coach, and she was supposed to contact the people to see if over the phone she could help diagnose their problems and see if they could fix it themselves. So that was cool. There has been a few, 2 to 3 people have called me and asked when the next repair cafe is. I do feel like people are just cleaning out their garages and spaces and finding these things that they want repaired, which I've been going back and forth about how to have a virtual repair situation. If not repair, maybe diagnose. But I know right now it's not a good idea, I guess, to condone people to go out and buy things to repair their items that are not necessary. So let's say, someone has a broken ceramic item. Someone says, okay, well, this glue is the best to repair it. Go to the Home Depot and you can find the glue. Do they really need to be going out right now to buy that glue is something we have to think about. But long term, if we could figure out a way to have virtual diagnosis or simple repairs, obviously items that need to be like soldered or knife sharpening or certain things that you need to have equipment for, people won't be able to do. But some of the smaller items maybe. But me and John have to talk about that. And I know he has probably some stuff to report that he shared in an email with other virtual repair stuff going on.
Yeah, as it happens, there has been a lot of development on the virtual repair front, and so there are virtual. As we say, it's mostly diagnosis, just as you say, Melissa, but it can be pretty effective. And there was one last night that was out of North Carolina, the repair cafes in North Carolina, but they're open and to everyone. And that was the first one that I, attended virtually, and it was excellent. So there are more and more of these coming online, and so I expect that we will do one, because it's nice for people in this region to have a chance to be, to see coaches, repair coaches that they are familiar with, and that will be great. One note on that March Repair Cafe at Kingston that we did cancel, that was, March 14th, which was Pi Day, and we had so much cool stuff lined up for it. So it was hard to cancel that one. And actually, also that week's Almanac Weekly gave us just the best coverage that we've ever had. So that was indeed a disappointment. I'm going to read a little bit from the email that I sent out to all the organizers on Sunday. Governor Cuomo has extended stay-at-home protocols through May 15th, and it is clear that we should not be holding any repair events before June at the earliest, and almost certainly well beyond that. I think we all recognize that our repair cafes thrive on across-the-table proximity and the passing back and forth of items, and so does the virus. So we need to be more conservative about resuming activity than almost any other community gathering we can think of. So that is our position on that. We will be very conservative about restarting.
Okay, great.
I have one other item, and that is that I had reached out to Dazzle Ekblad at the DEC, and the subject here is one that we have covered many times, and that is, when will repair be included in there as an action item, a specific action item? And so here's the update. Dazzle wrote, I still do not yet know exactly when the new action will be finalized and posted to the website. I wish we had more staff to work on this, but releasing it this fall is a definite possibility. I can tell you that we will structure the action, that is the repair action, to award points for any active repair cafe, meaning that at least one or two have been held recently, that is in the last year or so. And there is no penalty or advantage for people who have been running repair cafes for several years. So that is from our friend Dazzle this morning.
Okay, thanks for checking in on that. Okay, anything else on Repair Cafe?
Hang on to your items. But you know what I also will do is I will share some information with this commission about virtual repair, and then ask you to share it with your network, because the virtual repair thing is quite creative, quite innovative, and really great.
Thank you, John. Okay, Melissa, any updates on outreach and education?
No.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, me and Dad have to touch base about the brochure, but again, that is just on hold right now because there's everything going on. So.
Okay, no problem. I think I probably told you, it's all obvious now, but the Earth Fair is canceled. But if you do get the mayor's newsletter today, the newsletter was all about Earth Day. And so you can check that out and see some of the good things that the city is working on. So check that out if you can. Betta, any update on the Green Business Challenge?
Afraid not.
No. Do you think that there's going to be no hire now because of the spending freezes?
I mean, I don't know. I'll try to follow up with Evelyn Wright and find out. Right now, I mean, I know, and you probably know, Amanda Laval is working on, food distribution, and I think it's sort of an all hands on deck for the basics that are needed. So I don't know if they're going to be moving ahead with a new initiative like that right now, but I will do my best to find out for the next meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, Kevin, any updates on zoning?
Yeah, let me make sure. Am I muted? No, right? You can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay. The last update that I had, unless if Rennie's still here, he may have something further, but was was from Jeffrey indicating as follows. I'll sort of partially read his email. In talking to the rest of the Common Council, it became clear to me that due to the emergency situation we're in, if the zoning were to come up for a vote today, would not be approved, as most of the council are understandably concerned about spending right now, because we just don't know how long this state of emergency is going to last. Instead of letting that happen and having all your hard work, meaning the zoning task force and the mayor and everybody else who's worked on this, have your hard work come to nothing, at tonight's Common Council meeting April 7th, I'll be proposing that this issue be sent back to the Finance Committee for consideration at a future date. So that's where we're at. It's on hold.
Well, that was good. That was the right thing to do.
Are you asking me a question? Because it's breaking up a little.
No, I was just
That was the
checking
right
to
thing
see.
to do.
Oh, you're all
John's up.
talking. Well, that's what's happening. Okay. I think you can move on from me unless you have a specific question on the zoning.
Anyone have any
Okay.
questions? Okay. Betta, anything on Heat Smart?
Not really. I mean, the new incentives are now available, I guess, with Central Hudson. But I don't have the details handy. I think that the incentives that we thought were going to be a lot better aren't as exciting as we had thought. But I'll get those numbers for you for the next meeting. I will make a note of that as well from Heat, because I'm not working directly now on Heat Smart Ulster Sullivan. I'm still involved kind of more at a state level with our Renewable Heat Now campaign, but don't know about the nitty gritty of Central Hudson. I know that there are new incentives now available, but I'm not sure what they are. So I will find out and if there are any updates. But unfortunately, we're not really having any, in-person events, and contractors can't do the work right now. So we're on pause.
Okay. I will say, I know contractors aren't able to work on private locations, but government work is open. And so actually just yesterday, in a unbelievably rapid fashion, RICOR installed 8 heat pumps at the Rondout Neighborhood Center in less than a day. Can you all hear me still?
Well,
Your sound
Amanda.
like a or something. It's weird.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, that's exciting that RICOR installed heat pumps at the Rondout Neighborhood Center.
Are they splitters?
Yes.
That's great.
Wow.
What's the other option? I don't know. Amy Peterson was managing the project. I just was the person letting them in, but they did it in they did it in one day. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. The other option would be a whole lot of duct work.
Ooh,
And they couldn't do that in a day.
no.
And not,
Yeah, I
not
don't think that's. Yeah. Yeah. No, it wasn't. There was no ducting. So that's pretty exciting. Okay. Does anyone have anything about solar? I know Cal's not here.
Yeah, have you all, Sun Common has put Cal on furlough? Did you all know that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't have an email for him, and I don't know that he's even getting these emails. Because
That's a good point.
I mean, he should still be here. He should still be here, even if he's furloughed from his job.
Right.
So does anyone else have communication with Cal?
I probably have, I have his Sun Common email. I probably have another email too. If you need it, I'll send it along.
I only have his Sun Common email, and it basically says I'm furloughed and I'm not going to check emails. So,
All right, so let me check. I'll check my other for his personal.
I have an email for at least one other person at Sun Common who may still be there, so I could inquire along that line.
okay, great.
I'd like to be in touch with them.
Okay. Well, if someone finds other contact information for him, just get that to me. So if you could. I will say from the city's perspective, one thing that came out of, one of many things that came out of the NREL and Cadmus research was that we are receiving technical assistance to work through the process to become for Soul Smart designation. So basically Soul Smart is another designation, kind of like a clean energy community or climate smart community, that says that we are a community that is actively supporting and embracing and proliferating solar. And so they did an initial analysis of where we would be, and the 3 levels are just like everything else: bronze, silver, and gold. And we effectively have achieved bronze without even trying to do anything, which is fantastic. So I have to go through a few formalities to get that completed, and we will be a bronze Soul smart community. I'll share more information once that is further, but it's pretty exciting to just know that. So I guess you have to get a certain number of points, and to get gold, you need 200 points, and everything we've done already. She says she works with communities that normally have like 25 or 30 points to start. We have 185 points. So I said, of course, we're going to go for the gold because we always go for the gold. But right now, I have to just be okay with bronze and go from there. So we'll see.
Who's behind Soul Smart? Are they state, national, industry?
I can't remember.
Fair enough. Sounds
I
good.
don't know. What's that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll share more info when I have more. Maya's not here, and I don't think anything's happening with the bike ped master plan. Maybe Brenna, do you know if anything Emily's can't be possibly advancing the bike ped master plan at this point, right?
I can't imagine she's doing anything other than coordinating the emergency food response.
Yeah.
I know what
Which is amazing.
time it's taking for me, and I'm just doing intake calls. So that whole logistics thing is probably 60, 80 hours for her.
Right. Okay. And anything have anything on youth engagement? No, Maya's not here, so we'll table that. Energy stretch code, Jessica, anything on that?
No, my strategy was going to be, I was taking a class with some code enforcement officers from neighboring towns, and I was going to run it by them, but I didn't get a chance to do that before everything shut down. And I looked at the code a little bit, and some of the changes are like a word or two here, and some seem to be adding major sections. So I just don't have the expertise, to say anything about it. And I'm still happy to contact our building department and see what they think about feasibility. I would just need some contact information, and I can start that communication if that works.
Great. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think I saw that, did New York City pass an energy stretch code? Did anyone see that?
No.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I thought I saw that come through, so maybe check into that and see. We could, not that there's really a lot of relatable between us and the city, but at least there's some precedence.
Did they?
Touch base with Hugo at any point?
I did not, and I don't have his information either, but I can do that. I can do that as well. Let him know that we're looking into it.
Sure.
Okay, excellent. Anything else on energy stretch code? Okay, green fleet and anti-idling policy is something I need to work on. There's nothing that I can report on that right now. I don't have anything. Any other old business? Okay, I added the vision statement review into new business because as I was printing up our agenda, I see that it says on the bottom in our vision, the city of Kingston will be a model city of energy, environmental, and economic sustainability by 2020 within city government operations and throughout the community. And here we are, it's 2020.
We did it.
And we're like the way through.
Later than
World's best cup of coffee.
So I don't know how this works. When your vision is obsolete at a certain date, does that just mean that you stop functioning? Do you change your vision? Do you close your eyes and wait till 2021 and hope that the rest of the year is better than the beginning of the year? I don't know. I wanted to open up the discussion and see what people think.
This is regarding our missions, how we're going to change our mission statement.
our vision.
Vision
But
statement.
yes. Just because it says a model city by 2020 and now it's 2020. So like,
Right.
should we be changing it? Or are we going to not change it?
Change the date.
I don't know.
2030?
Just change the date.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps we need to wait a little more
10
time
more
to see how everything works out and what becomes more virtual and what doesn't, and then reassess. But that's my opinion.
Could you read it again, Julie? Does it say will become these things? Will become a model by 2020?
Will be.
I'll read it again. The city of Kingston will be a model city of energy, environmental, and economic sustainability by 2020 within city government operations and throughout the community. My concern with changing it to 2030 is basically saying that we didn't do it, and now we're giving ourselves 10 additional years to do what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, the word crafting would be something along the lines, we will continue to build on what we have achieved.
Or strive toward, or continue to strive toward.
Well, I like it to indicate that we have achieved a lot, because I think we all believe that we have. And so if we can in some way say that we are building on this, building towards newer and higher goals.
My question is,
What
does it mean?
2020.
Like, how do you know when you're done? You know, like, what does it mean to be a model city? Like, you could just keep going forever. So
What
Compared
did you
to
say, Julie?
who?
We are a model city, yes, no?
Compared to other cities, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
All
true.
right. But like, yeah, how do you, is there any criteria, any boxes we're checking?
We are not a model city in economic sustainability for everybody and
That's
throughout
true.
the community.
Right.
Well,
So I guess, all right, the question is, do we put a date on it, right? A revised date, or just leave it like open-ended? I mean, I don't feel that strongly either way, but my only argument for a date is that the last date was in line with the climate action plan, right? And so the climate action plan brought us to 2020. Now we're going to have a new climate action plan that with the goals for 2030, right? That are most of the big goals we're aiming for 2030. So that's why in some ways it does make sense to have 2030 as the goal, but we might then also want to spell out some of the specific goals, like we're planning on being 100% renewable energy. But, again, I don't feel that strongly either way, having the date, but that's why it would make sense to have it jive with the climate action plan.
Forgive the stupidity here, is economic sustainability, how are we as the Climate Smart Committee, how are we tasked with making that happen? What are our actions there?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
The question is, how do we know when we can say, okay, we're there? Like, when would we ever be able to say we're there?
Well, and that makes me, sorry. It seems like for a vision statement, it would be better to not have, it sounds more like a goal than a vision statement. And like a vision is kind of like the city of Kingston will model energy, environmental sustainability. Like it's like an ongoing, like a verb that you're continuously doing. and less of a goal, if that makes sense, with like an end
Visioning.
point.
Visioning as opposed to a vision, visioning, envisioning.
Mhm. Other thoughts?
Well, there's always room for improvement.
Oh, heaven knows.
So there's,
Well, let's come back to a simple question of, do we collectively feel like we need to change the vision statement? We can then do wordsmithing offline and do other suggestions, but do we collectively think we would need to change it?
Just the date, maybe, or the phraseology around the date.
Yeah, we can't keep 20, it can't have to be 2020.
well, we can for 10 more months or 11 more months.
Which may make sense.
To your question, Julie, I feel like there's some value in us talking about this further. Not a lot, but a little bit. And typically plans like this do, they go by 10-year increments. It's very common, to say by 2020, by 2030. And I'll just repeat what I had said earlier, that I think it's fair for us to acknowledge in this vision statement that we have achieved many goals and that we are building upon that. We are building upon our achievements to become an even more model city.
Model 2.0.
We're more model than you. Our city is more model than your city.
Julie, what do you think if we all bring a revision to the next meeting and see how it goes?
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that that's a good plan. I think if you want to see it, it's on the bottom of the agenda. That's the vision that we created. And so let's come back to the meeting next month and we can rediscuss at that time. And maybe by then I'll have discussed this as well with Climate Action Plan 2.0 folks and see how they feel about helping us if we need to redo the vision.
That's
sound
good.
okay?
Yeah.
Just as guidance, there's just one of the things that I just Googled was a vision statement is the anchor point of any strategic plan. It outlines what an organization would like to ultimately achieve and gives purpose to the existence of the organization. A good vision statement should be short, simple, specific to your business, and leave nothing open to interpretation.
Okay. Good to know. All right, so that's that on the vision statement. Any other new business?
I have an idea, and maybe this should have gone in the education outreach section, but for Earth Week, for Climate Smart, maybe doing a pledge of some sort on social media with the community. I don't know if there's any like online apps or like if we do a photo pledge or if we just have people write something, but something for Earth Week, like I reuse, I use reusable silverware to go wear or whatever to help the environment, or I line dry my clothes for the environment. Some sort of like photo pledge or some sort of recognition of Earth Day by Climate Smart Kingston for community outreach, getting people involved is an idea.
And would we do that via Facebook?
It could be Facebook. Do we have an Instagram? I don't even know. No, okay, so it would be Facebook then.
Okay, that would need to be turned around in the next
Very
3
quick,
days.
I know. Yes, I can work with John with it if you have time, John.
Sure, we can. It sounds very doable, Melissa. We can, and
Okay.
it's a good idea to have something new up there, and it's very timely. So yeah, I like.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good suggestion. Okay, Public Safety General Government Committee, we lost Serena. Anyone have an update from that?
No.
Okay. Climate Smart, Ulster County Climate Smart, Betta?
We have not had a meeting. We're having a meeting, I think Monday.
The 27th.
Okay. Any other announcements, communications, events, or updates?
There's always a lot going on virtually, but people might be interested. I mean, this is more like a global thing or national thing, but there's this Earth Day Live happening, like over these 3 days, the next 3 days, starting today, and with nonstop like panels and special speakers. And New Yorkers for Clean Power is co-sponsoring one tomorrow at 12 with Mark Ruffalo and the Native American Congresswoman. But on the more local level, next Friday at 1 o'clock, there is a webinar related to Dan Scammer that we're co-sponsoring with a number of groups that Manna Joe Green has kind of been taking the lead on about a just transition. So, right, how are we gonna like phase out all of this, dirty energy and fossil fuel plants and make sure that people still have jobs and thriving communities? So there's going to be a webinar about that. The day before, there's a biogas webinar that looks really interesting on like synthetic renewable gas. And the day before that, there's another United Solar Energy Supporters webinar that we're co-sponsoring on the new renewable energy siting law, which we worked a lot to make happen, and hopefully it'll mean more utility scale solar and wind projects actually get built. So we're going to be sending out some correspondence about those dates. I know it's probably hard to follow with me just like listing them off, but those should be really interesting. And that's next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So good time to just geek out on all of the stuff at home.
That's for sure.
Great, thank you, Betta. Any other announcements? Okay, and for social media postings, John, you're gonna work with Melissa on Earth Week something?
Yes, we will.
And is there any other business?
And when we do, I'll send a note to you all to say, come look at that Facebook page, come see, like, comment, and share.
Yeah, and also we can share the events that it just told us about and the links to those so people can join all those live WebExes
Well,
and
this is
everything.
ongoing. If you know of something that you would like, to be on our Facebook page, send it to me. I gotta have an image, gotta have a picture of some sort.
Great.
Sounds good. Thanks, John.
Any other business?
All
If
right.
not, I need to adjourn.
I guess my only question is, are we meeting next month?
Why, sure.
We're supposed to meet on, what date were we?
27th.
On the May 20th, that would be, oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's the 4th, it would be the 27th. Oh, you said the 27th. Yeah, so that's the plan, and we're just gonna see how it goes, whether it's in person or Zoom, or do we know now that it's gonna be virtual?
Oh, it'll be Zoom.
I cannot predict the
What'd you say, Julie?
I can't predict the future. I can say that we're gonna meet, but I can't say where.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right. If there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Karen, can I get a second?
Yep, second.
John. Okay, all in favor of adjourning? Say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. This concludes the meeting. It is 6:01. I hope everyone has a great night and stay safe. Good health and wellness to you and your families, and I will end the recording now.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Julie.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, guys.